Kwelcala left.
Umlale.
Wena before mhlala ngapha ibe nguduka. Wena uhlala lapha emisini. Wena
Out because of the comedies. Out because of the comedies.
Oh, hlala emisini.
Oh.
You have it here.
Yeah. Yeah. This one. Usikhoma ngapha?
Yeah, this is left one.
Okay.
I'm in the far left.
Hopeful, not ultra.
Not ultra. Permanent revolution.
Izafuna. As phones this better off.
Yeah.
So that zingaziphazamisi. So that zingaziphazamisi.
Okay.
Can't be described. I suspect in case back on the phone is subscribe. Okay.
It's not too long then.
It's not too long.
Yeah. I like about pants.
Okay. Can't be no in a paper, man.
Yeah. If I have WhatsApp, you know?
I need to visit. That's it. No bad.
Yeah, I was talking.
Don't know. I'm getting the phones up. I'm trust to come the phones up. I'm trust.
Damn. Damn.
No, and I look at probably
Just a minute, we're waiting for the other journalists that are still doing an interview outside. Immediately they come in to start the session. Thank you so much.
Hello. Yepel. Yepel count pela nansi kama count pela copy.
Okay.
Hayi man, hayi ndinike umadlobo. Yeah. No, ndifuna ubhala lapha ngasemva. Ndifuna ubhala lapha ngasemva. Hayi ndi right, send right pen. Zafu.
That's only 5 That's only 5 That is actually about 4
Yeah, bomb particularly. They gone what? And they are gone what?
Maybe I told them 2.5.
Into a home by God can over. That each person provides something. Run is
That's
that
actually
high level. Because over some or only food to buy like 2.
1.2 something.
It's definitely about space. It's too
Our impression is that 2.5
For Bahai.
correct me if I'm wrong.
So that if you know it was not, then they will fail to get to an engagement with him.
Because we are very cool. Ubuza kuye uba is there anything I work out here? Bona mawuba bonke bebeke out. It's a thumbs up kind of a figure. Yeah.
Hayi ubangabi njalo wena feel free to engage them.
Yeah.
Then uskuphinda usireconvene if needs be.
Yabona yena ufuna uthethe naye.
Our DDG, senior management of the department, our stakeholders that are here with us, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Moloi. This is the day that our MEC has requested all of us to be here, especially members of the media, to hear about the state of readiness in terms of the education sector, making sure that exams run smoothly in 2023 academic year. So we want to welcome all of you, colleagues that are here, so that we make sure that, colleagues, all of us are indeed here for the purpose that we have been invited for. Mnageli Unyameka Mkijima, I am the acting head of communications in the Department of Education. And the face that you normally see standing here, Mr. Mtima, he had an assignment to attend to Mtata, and they couldn't come back last night, so they are on their way. I'm sure he may join us as we proceed with the program. It's not a long program, colleagues. Maybe let me start by asking all of us just to observe a moment of silence as a sign of making our prayers in terms of our religions, colleagues. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this. In front of us, we have our Honorable MEC, Utadu Fundilengade, Sine HOD yetu, Dr. Nuku, Sinaye udidiji wetu waka curriculum, Utadu Reitwagadi, who is next to me. We have the District Director for BCM, Utadu Mabeka. We've got the Director for Assessment and Exams, Utadu Mabona Mkitwake wetu.
Cathedral. Cathedral.
Yes. Sinaye umama ubonja from Natosa. Nangemhle article wethu. Sinaye Chief of Staff in the Office of the NEC. Utatusobujeka tunasonke sesimanzi. We've got umama umbeleki upha la Chief Director Tatu Mabona. Sinaye Mr. Lolwana naye as one of the directors in that Chief Directorate, colleagues. We've got also our stakeholders at the back, Utatu Mlunga Pai, and the colleague next to him. I don't know the name, sorry, colleague, for that. Otherwise, they are here to support us, colleagues, because as a department, we do not work alone. We work with the stakeholders to make sure that they keep us on our toes, in whatever that we're doing. So, from time to time, we always, engage with them on various issues, even today. After that, colleagues, let me allow the MEC to take us through his statement of the day, and thereafter we will allow colleagues from the media to ask questions, and after that we will close the session, but allow one-on-one interviews for those colleagues that would wish to have as such. Let me hand over to you, our Honorable MEC.
Thanks once more. Good morning to you, Program Director. Good morning to the HOD, Dr. Nogu, DDG Chwagati, members of the senior management of the sector, in particular from the curriculum section, our social partners, the invited media houses here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have taken a decision to convene you precisely because of the significance of the wrapping up of the program of almost 12 years. Because if you talk about grade 12, you talk of a 12-year cycle of learning. The product that you are going to see at the end of the month, by December, January beginning, is a product of how the system have behaved since grade R. So it's not necessarily a program that talks to grade 12 per se, but how the cycle itself performs and how the system has been responding into the intellectual development of the kids, from the lowest levels of the system of schooling that we have in the country. We have convened you into this briefing session to update you on the state of readiness of the Eastern Cape Department of Education to manage and conduct a successful National Senior Certificate examination for the 2023 academic year, as well as steps being taken to support those learners as they write the National Senior Certificate examinations. We are as well convening today the pledge signing ceremony. Today it also marks the beginning of the examinations through the pledge signing ceremony, which is a pledge of commitment by all grade 12 learners. The Council of Education Ministers approved that all learners and candidates registered to write the 2023 National Senior Certificate examinations must sign a pledge committing to comply with the examinations code of conduct applicable to all candidates across the country. The rationale for the pledge signing ceremony is to assist with the curbing and controlling of examination irregularities, and is an attempt to adopt a more proactive rather than reactive approach to the reduction of the examination's irregularities. All districts are requested to ensure that the pledge signing ceremony takes place as scheduled, as adopting a uniform date, a time for the signing of the pledge across the country will also assist in the rationale toning for the writing of the examinations in all grades, by the way. In addition to the pledge signing, learners and parents are required to sign the commitment agreement, which provides a detailed list of the key rules and regulations relating to the National Senior Certificate examination. All learners and their parents, guardians must sign the commitment agreement prior to the commencement of the examination's date. All schools will therefore be participating in the pledge signing ceremony today to conscientize learners against committing any irregularity. Also, colleagues, in the context of readiness for 2023, the public examinations are primarily defined in terms of their purposes to satisfy and select students on the basis of an assessment of their achievements in curriculum areas in terms of the World Bank 2022 statement. However, lately, public examinations have become a dominant form of external, high-stakes educational assessment in many countries of the world. These examinations are used both to satisfy the students have reached a prescribed level of learning and to select learners to the next level of education system or for employment purposes. Contents of these examinations exert a great influence on what teachers actually teach and what learners learn. The 2023 National Senior Certificates examination will run through from the 30th of October to the 6th of December 2023. Here are the key milestones included from the following. Candidates receiving their individual timetables, admission letters as from the 17th of October. Marking of the written examination scripts process will start on the 4th of December 2023 to 21st December 2023. Capturing of the SBA's marks starts from the 23rd of October to the 17th of November 2023. The capturing of written marks starts from the 9th of December to the 23rd of December 2023. The standardization of the marks starts from the 3rd to the 5th of January 2024. The National Minister releases the 2023 National Senior Certificates results on the 18th of January 2024. we shall release our own results as a province of grade 12 on the 19th of January 2024. We are giving you this layout so that you can diarize and also look into how to locate your own selves in terms of prioritizing some of the key strategic areas of focus here. Also, let's lift up the key readiness indicators of success that we have identified as a province, which needed a bit of consideration. In terms of the registration of all 2023 National Senior Certificate examinations, the full-time and part-time candidates that have been completed by now, with just final clearance being done also. The 2 sets of preliminary registration data sets were printed and distributed to all full-time centers to verify the accuracy of the registration. The preliminary schedules were printed for part-time candidates and well for verification of accuracy of the registration. What is key on this slide is that whenever you are engaged on any process, you must always learn, and learn. That last time you have got an issue of SPAs in Pumlani, in Butterworth, Amatole East, means something that must be learned by the system. And therefore, this is responding to that, so that you close any loopholes in the process that could create an aftertaste when kids are supposed to be getting their own results. So this is what we have done as a direct response of any potential threat in the process, so that you don't find yourself being vulnerable as a system in the process. Hence, I just wanted to emphasize why this slide. And hence I'm saying, when you engage on anything, you must always look into the blind spots. What are the lessons of yesterday? What must you do now? What are the prospects of having a smooth, synergized system of examinations for tomorrow? And we are responding to that question. In terms of the scope and size of the examinations, because that's another key area that I think needs a bit of a very closer look on your side, as we have done as a sector. The number of learners entries has slightly improved compared to 2022. In 2023, they have increased from 98,756 to 98,822 candidates. In 953 exam centers, district enrollments differs from one district to another, but the highest enrollments are on the following districts. That's another area, which is a bit a key area, because if you look in terms of the statistics of last year, centers have increased because of the magnitude of the learners that we have in the province. By the way, we are, if not second, we are the third DTG, largest enrollment province in terms of grade 12 in the country. So your system must be up to standard, because you are talking close to 100,000 learners that are writing examinations here. So at the same time, so you don't have to lower the guards. But what are the strategic key focus areas for us, and why? What are the strategic focus areas for us as we write examinations, and why? That's why you are raising the issue of OR Tambo Coastal here, that only OR Tambo Coastal constitute 13,663 learners, one district. OR Tambo Inland constitute 12,943. Nelson Mandela constitute 12,450. Without being ridiculous, these 3 districts can represent a number of provinces in this country. Some provinces are represented by this number. Some provinces. Go and research what I'm saying. So meaning, for us to be able to achieve the targets that we want, without undermining other areas, you need a closer look here. A very closer look here, because these are the polling districts in terms of the numbers, followed by Buffalo City as the fourth one. In terms of the subject enrollment, because that's another key, which are these subjects that are more enrolling in the province? And what are the reasons for that? Do these numbers that are enrolled in context of subjects have anything to do with the National Development Plan of the country? So that you don't have a system of education that produces learners for the sake of producing them. Is there any appreciation of us making a dent in terms of the skills required by the economy of the country? Remember, intellectualism is built here. Capacity of the state is built here. Skills revolution is here in basic education. So if you fail to do that, all other sectors have already failed, because they depend on whether this basic education has got clarity of what must be done or not. So it's not just a question of learners passing or being certificated. It's whether are we able to see the crisis outside there, and what is the content, therefore, that basic education must do to respond to the crisis outside there. So hence I'm saying the issue of the subjects becomes key in terms of choices, which subjects must be done and why those subjects. In the province, the subject enrollments for 2023 are relatively stable, as we have said, minor increases and decreases in some subjects. The biggest decline is evident in economics, which has declined from 1,264 compared to 2022. The majority of the small enrollment subjects with less than 5,000 participants have generally declined. However, tourism has grown exponentially over the last 3 years. This is highly appreciated in a province that has got the potential to be a tourism paradise. It goes back to what I'm saying. What are the key areas of the provincial development plan as an Eastern Cape government? And therefore, is there any alignment of basic education towards those provincial development plans? Hence, I'm saying, for us, tourism is not a by-the-way subject because of the PDP that guides us into that particular direction. Printing of question papers, we have been able to print 165 question papers that has already been written, and 1,404. For 1,404,319 copies of question papers to be printed in total for all question papers. Printing has already been started on the 4th of October with a printing plan and submitted to DPE for approval. Packing logistics were concluded in time. Storage nodal points are almost ready. The distribution plan is almost ready. So in terms of the systems, so that you don't experience leakages of papers, you don't experience shortages of papers, you don't experience anything that might hamper the crisis in terms of writing examinations. In terms of the storage and also the security, examination material has been printed, stored, distributed in highly secured environment. The ECDOE team is working closely with the state security agencies for the guidance on safety and security of the examinations material in the whole value chain system. All the recommendations pertaining to the central printing, packaging, storage facilities have been implemented. All national norms pertaining to collection, storage of national question papers are strictly adhered to. The departmental officials are deployed on a full-time basis in the printing, packaging, storage, and distribution facilities. The purpose is to ensure adherence to all prescribed procedures for all the steps in the value chain, from storage of the master copies to the collection of the papers by the transportation services provider. The printing and packaging facilities were just reassessed by the security agencies, duly certified. Staff employed in the question papers management are being vetted for this 2023 examination cycle. A comprehensive risk adjustment plan is available and gets invoked when load shedding and other risk factors demand. And I think also we must HOD to note that, we are doing all these things so that you don't overburden kids. If there is anything that is painful, is for a paper to be rewritten for the kids. Whether, for whatever reasons, a rewriting of a question paper is an emotional problem to those kids. So you must make sure that you don't fall into any trap. Hence, there must be synergized security clearance, both from national DPE to provincial DPEs and to schools where papers will be written as exam centers. So we are equally to that task. The only thing that I think DDG Jwakati could be a matter that probably needed an engagement between us and the Department of Safety in the form of military is the potential threat of rain. Where possible, Department of Defense and military can assist us so that we don't fall into that trap that we have last year, Limpopo, KZN, and Eastern Cape, of being unable to transport papers in the due time frames that were there on the basis of the weather and the climate change that is there. And I'm therefore saying again, even there, we are ready for that. We are in engagement with the Department of Military and Safety so that we can curb any potential threat, whether caused by climate change globally, which is out of our own control as a sector. We're busy working on that because we want papers to be written within the regulatory period and prescribed legislative frameworks that we have. In terms of the recruitment of invigilators, the recruitment of the invigilators has been completed, colleagues, and the submission of the appointment of invigilators have been approved already. Training of chief invigilators was done on the 11th to 19th of October to improve the quality of reporting of examinations regularities. A common template will be issued to all districts for the attention of the chairperson of the DIAC for SBA's related irregularities. It will be accompanied by MGM for the legitimacy of the registration of related irregularities so that they are investigated and resolved before the writing of the examinations. Safety first. That's what we're saying here. Safety first. If there is anything in suspicion, let it be done and be concluded before anything else so that you don't have to go back to what should have been avoided in the process. Also, in terms of the markers, the assessment instruction was issued in April 2023, inviting all qualifying educators to apply online as markers. Verification was done at all levels, schools, districts, and province. The process is to ensure that educators are meeting the PEM requirements. The selection process has been concluded, and 6,580 markers supported by 1,835 examinations assistants has been appointed for the marking of grade 12 in 2023. So in essence, we have appointed more than 7,000 people just for this task. For us, it's not just about creating jobs. For us, it's about responding to the legislations that guides this sector, hence the mentioning of the PEM document. Remember, education is the highest legislated environment in this country. Apha kwa education ku-legislated noyochama oku akwa education. So I'm saying it's important. It's important that you appreciate that we have to make sure that you don't mess up any prescripts that is there. Hence, we are citing that even in terms of recruiting people to assist here, they have to undergo a process that is legislated. You don't just bring anybody here, or you bring him because he's got a degree. That degree may not be relevant for us here. So I'm saying it's a matter that you must as well note, colleagues. In terms of the monitoring of the examinations, the department has refined its comprehensive monitoring plan, including intensified monitoring of districts with high-risk centers. The department will achieve 70% monitoring coverage required by DPE. We have set up ourselves a target, at least of 70% monitoring, so that you minimize the risks in the process. Because if you have been able to cover monitoring 70% of the entire process, at least the risks are minimized. Hence that huge target. In terms of the marking of the examinations, 25 marking centers will be utilized for marking of 2023, with marking centers opening on the 4th of December. The actual marking will be from 7th to 21st of December. Each subject will have a chief marker, a moderator, as well as a center manager, irregularity officer, script control officer, claims officer, and 2 admin officers with 10 driver service various centers, so that you have got an infrastructure of human resource that is capable of doing the task without failing you. Allocation of the marking center management teams was finalized by 30th of October, and marking centers contracts were finalized by 15th of October, and therefore finalizing the submission of transfers of funds to various institutions that are required to do so. The signing of marking centers services level agreement has been taken place last week, and also the capturing of the learner marks, learners marks is as tabulated from below. In terms of the SPA capturing, it will take place on the 30th of October next week, in a couple of days from next week, and also on the 9th to 23 December, it will be the capturing of the written marks. From 29 to 31st December, it will be a mop-up of the resulting data to be done and completed, so that you are sure you clean up the system as well. Irregularities. This is also a key area, colleagues, because irregularities are a key puncher to the kids. The unfortunate part of it here is that if a kid happened to be involved in irregularities, there are serious penalties. So you must avoid them getting into any gap on that. Because remember, in terms of law, once that kid has been cashed up on irregularities, it means she or he will have to forfeit almost 3 consecutive examinations processes. This one, next one, and the other one. In essence, plus minus 2.5 years can't be enrolled as a grade 12 learner in this country. So safety becomes key. Don't allow them to be found with irregularities. Find a way to discipline teachers not to be obsessed by results such that they make kids to perform irregularities, because penalties comes heavily on kids than on educators. And hence I'm saying, I'm emphasizing the importance of being honest and making sure that irregularity, behavioral offenses and acts of dishonesty has to be drastically decreased and in the province. But we don't have that history, of course. But I'm saying for safety reasons, you did need to have a plan that talks to that. Because one kid that happened to be penalized, it means the entire life of that kid has been obstructed. So we must avoid that. Irregularities identified during the writing of the examinations reported by district to the province and hearings are held, or irregularities identified at the marking centers are to be resolved by the irregularity officers appointed in each marking center. And also the administrative errors and omissions cases which should not take a long time to follow up and resolve, so that you don't have a snag or a dark cloud over these kids. The department has already held training sessions on the script control, mark sheets management on the 5th and 6th of October. This is to ensure the reduction of the administration errors. And however, behavioral offenses and acts of dishonest cases has to be reported immediately in terms of the policy and also to the police unity. And investigations and hearings will be done by the head office policy. The provincial report on all reported and identified BOAD cases should have been tabled to the provincial examinations irregularity committees. That represents the head of departments for discussions and adopt the report and recommend it to be approved by the HOD before it is submitted to the NEC. The department is also committed in eliminating all behavioral offenses and acts dishonesty during this process. There is a zero tolerance for any examinations irregularities. Examinations irregularities must fall, and the matter of the Eastern Cape NSS grade 12 class of 2023. In terms of the advocacy and ethics of participants in the examinations itself, we have done in terms of the advocacy plans that are in place and also communicated to the candidates the importance of adhering to the examinations. We have radio slots that are arranged in terms of consultation with the Communications Directorate from the 11th of October. Flyers and posters are being printed and distributed. Schools have been informed before the commencement of the examinations. We are also engaging the traditional leaders, churches, youth formations, and all institutions of the people in order to ensure that there are no behavioral, ethical questions in the context of conducting the national public examinations. The provincial pledge ceremony for 2023 will be hosted in Buffalo City today and is in line with the DPE National Pledge signing ceremony. Below are the dates that I've already talked about. Colleagues, I won't waste your time there. But what I will just talk to as a wrap up to the discussion with you is the issue of the incubation of learners at risk. We have taken a decision that the department has identified 19,281 learners that can be categorized as learners at risk who will need until the last day of examination a support. A program of support for 22 days of intensive learning incubation has been conceptualized already. The program will run from the 27th of October to the 19th of November 2023. We have taken a view that we need a target support, not a generic support. Ngobani ababantwana babonakala ngathi bayirisk apha eprovinceni ngamagama bakwesiphi isikolo bafumana eziphi levels kwesubject bazenzayo? What are the reasons for that? How do you intervene? That's what we're doing here now. And hence that plan that we're talking about it from the 27th of October to the 19th of November. Bebonke abantwana by 19,281 in various subjects. The reason for that, akekho umzali onqwenela umntana wakhe uba makatshone. Noba ireason ithini ebengahambi isikolo ebetheni, when it comes to progression, wonke umuntu uma ngenyawo ufuna umntana wakhe epasile. Now, as a state machinery, how do you respond to that desire? So that you don't find yourself having a plethora of kids that are lingering around. Because the problem of basic education is that it can create a citizenry that depends on the state grant system. So you must avoid that. So that's why we are saying, out of everything that we are doing, we have got this 19,281, which we must deal with it and clean them out so that you can be able to deal with the questions that are there. District will be responsible for the identification of these choice of these learners and risk of these subjects. These learners will be supported by 598 tutors drawn from the best teachers in the province. The rundown per higher enrollment subjects is as follows. I won't waste your time again there. But what is key is that we have identified that there is a number of them on languages, from languages. There is a number of them from science, from natural sciences, which also include maths, about 11,994 of them, for example, in mathematics in the province, which must be dealt with via this program. You will remember that we are a maths and science province. That's another thing that you must note. Part of the difficulty of this province is that we are a maths and science province. The majority of kids of this province are doing maths and science. So in essence, it means your results are in maths and science, economic studies, and then languages. If you deal with the 6 subjects, you have dealt with the question on the table. So that's why we have developed this plan to respond to this. You'll get the detail on this one. But key to that is to ensure that you don't leave any student or learner behind. We have also resuscitated the call center services back now. But not for issues of employees now, but for issues of these kids. Since last week, we have started the incubation program back of the call centers based in Zwelitsha, the head office. The citizens' care lines of the call centers have been expanded to include now WhatsApp, SMS services, Facebook page, emails, and toll-free. We are going to deploy subject advisors there from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock every day, up until examinations have been finished. So that any kid who happened to have a challenge of any question within the subjects that they are going to write, as tabulated there, there is a support system to him or her to deal with that question far before that kid find himself in the examination room with a bit of a difficulty. So that's something new that we have not been there before. But the intention is to expand the participation of those expertise from various educators, so that umntana wase former Transkei uba lo tishala ugood wemetha apha eprovincini ukwelicala kubhenefithe la mntana via this program. For example, Uba unotishala good in this province where mathematics ongu principal wase St John's College eMthatha, why kids of Buffalo City cannot benefit from him being a national asset? Because you can't have a best maths teacher in the country in St John's College in eMthatha, but still not have learners benefiting from him or her. So hence the introduction of this digital learning program now, so that the kids can be supported quite comprehensively. We have created links for the visual lessons, and also we have created broadcasting lessons so that learners can be able to deal with the questions pertaining to their problems from 14 hours to 5 to 17 hours almost every day, so that they can have that interactive program. We have also explored the partnership that we have with Umhlobo Wenene and expand on it. You know, for example, that we do have partnership with Umhlobo Wenene. But now for this particular purpose, we just needed to expand on it and deals with it. And that program will be running in the following days, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and on Saturdays, between 10:30 and 20 and 21 hours. Between 20, 30 and 21 hours on Tuesday. On Wednesday, between 20 hours and 20 and a half hours. So we have got that schedule of work which will be utilized. We must hence to say, as a management of the department, we do have a management plan at the head office so as to manage this particular entire broad process through the DDG on my left, because he is the one that drives the curriculum in the province. But key for all of us as the people of the province, as I'm closing, is gonna be an approach which requires a bit of soberness, in particular from the parents. The excitement of the season must not distract us as a sector. There must be a zero tolerance from the parents in terms of pens down in the province. We don't have that concept. We don't want to explain ourselves why kids have gone to Enyobeni. Equally, we don't want you to explain why you don't know your kid. You sleep without knowing your kid. Right examinations makes kids that are supported at least be minimum hard, because that anger can translate itself into the business that we're busy doing here. So I'm appealing that all of us battalion ufika kukho umuntu omdala omileyo uqala ulinda abantu abadala baqale bakhwele. Noka yo duty yotishala leyo. Those are basics of values that we must instill on these kids. At least we build a citizenry that is responsible. Thank you so much, Program Director.
Thank you, Honorable MC. Let's welcome Tatundane, who has just joined us as one of our stakeholders, Usuka Program, and the senior management. Welcome, colleagues. I think there are also members of the media that have joined as we were proceeding with the program. I don't know, colleagues, whether you have noticed that HOT and the DDG are wearing the same tie. That of the Department of Education, a branded one, meaning that they buy embrace a brand. Colleagues, is that time now of the questions? We will allow colleagues to ask questions. And as we raise questions, dear colleagues, the motto is that you tell us who you are, which media house you are coming from, and then you shoot with your questions. I'm sure Ms. Botola will also assist us if there are any questions that have been posted online, now and so that we answer all the questions for you. So let me allow that time, colleagues. Any questions? There is a hand, that's number one. Any second? Okay. Second hand, number two. Third hand, number three. Fourth hand, Umamu Upotia. All right. Okay, let's take that round first. Please come introduce yourself and then you tell us where you're coming from.
Good morning to you, AUC and officials as well as colleagues. AUC, my very first question is to first applaud the department on this arrangement that has now been made to have access for these learners who live in and around the area of the Eastern Cape to get access to Otishana who are not where they are located as far as getting help is concerned. But there's a matter that I'm wondering that the Department of Education has like a plan in place with regards to Romtling, where which was easy camps. I've spoken to some of the learners of Park Armies High School this week, and the situation there is not quite nice because some of those children who live in that area live in child-headed households. Now the situation at home is not good. Our home buying, our calls, the cell phone access, there's no water, the pollution situation is not good for those learners. And Baba really, and they rely really on the issue of being taken to the camps. However, the issue of finances is one that was highly noted by residents who are assisting these learners as far as just overlooking. So long-term work camps, can't it be a thing that maybe the Department of Education does on a regular basis for these matric pupils? I'm quite sure and confident that the 80% that the MEC is aiming for next year or in the years to come, we can get to 100% if we ensure that at least these learners are given the full support that they may need if circumstances are not the same, because I think it's very important to note that abanye abantwana really come from sad backgrounds. So in situations like that, what's the plan for such learners? Thank you very much. I'm from Eastern Africa, just by the way, ma'am.
Okay, but says okay, thank you so much. Number two.
Some of the schools like Senior Secondary Senior Secondary School in Riverville had pupils studying in under dilapidated conditions. What are you doing to make sure that these schools like this one get some form of assistance on the infrastructure provisioning?
Question to Lisa from Using Africa kind of touched on where I was going to go with regards to maybe data supplementation for the broadcast programs that you've developed for the people who can't afford. So it was around about that. Thank you.
All right.
Good morning, MEC, Tatunubu, Mr. Jagani, and everyone in the house. It looks like the communities out there understand the importance of this examination. such that every year they target this period for their uprisings related to service delivery? Have we intensified our plans such that we prevent rather than manage a crisis when it comes? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. MEC ke unale panel that is with him. I'm sure he will be able to indicate which ones he is going to take and then which ones will he allow the HOD or the PDG to take.
Let me start with the soft ones and leave the harder ones. And leave the harder ones to my colleagues. Look, colleagues, let me take the last one on the service delivery plan of government. You are correct. This is a silly season because we're approaching elections next year by May. And the failure of the state organs realizing the set targets in terms of what have been promised via manifestos of political parties when they were presenting to the public manifest themselves during this period. But the reality of the fact is that you have a responsibility, especially as a ruling party, of not promising people, but living to the expectations, and also manage the fiscus of the country, not recklessly. There could be those issues from those that are not running government because they have got no responsibility. But from a ruling party's point of view, once you have got a fiscus crisis such that you must withdraw monies from departments back to national treasury, you must understand the crisis economically. We are running a growthless economy as a nation currently. Our economy is not growing, but the demands are growing. So it's a vice versa kind of an arrangement. Demands growing, economy on decline. Now, you need to live to the expectations of the people within those mega resources. But what we have done as a provincial government is to assemble a crack team that the Premier was announcing a couple of weeks back, and also a rapid response team across sector departments to look into the blind spots. Is there any threat, for example, in OR Tambo because of water that can make us not to write examinations? And what is the response of the local and district municipality there? Are there any threats in Port Elizabeth, for example, where you always have a problem of water that can result in us failing to execute the national task before us? So we are busy making that survey, and we're busy working on that at the level of the DTM model that we have adopted via the presidency in the country. Yes, of course, hence I was citing the issue of the roads. One of the problems that we have now in the province in particular is the issue of the road infrastructure. The case at point is the issue of roads and Elundini municipality, and also Mpashe municipality around Elodale. So we are looking at those issues, but of course assisted by various departments of government. For example, we have commissioned Sandaf to build the bridges for us, and Sandral to build bridges and roads for us. Now, if you can see, the province is under construction now. The reason is that this is not an issue of road and transport ministry. It cuts across, because should weather changes, climate changes, then we have a risk here of not writing examinations. So from time to time, There are ministerial committees from ministerial committees that are discussing the issue of the service delivery indicators that needed to be dealt with comprehensively. But I can cite, of course, the issue of the budget shortfalls that are there. We can't resolve everything at the same time, but equally, we can't pretend as if there are no issues. There are issues. Yeah, there are issues which sometimes can make Department of Education to be vulnerable. For example, scholar transport. Scholar transport, now we are busy working on the best way out, because Department of Transport has almost finished the budget that it was given. So at a crucial stage of us writing examination, I'm not sure whether uninibamba kakuhle na. Sibhala examinations ngapha kwelicala lingapha. Bona ngapha kwelacala imali ibushokoxeke ifuna uphela. Now, uba kungakho kubekho ingxaki ke ngoku yongatransporta kwabantwana ngexesha kubhalwa, kubani amakaphendule? Ndim mna mntu ubhalela imviwo. Not yena mntu. Yayibona into nditshoyo. So there is a need of a balancing act. How do I deal with the issue of a potential virus that might come during the examinations? I am not an MEC for health, but I must be anticipative as well, that there is no breakout that can be there in hostels, whether by default or not, that can create a problem for us. So I'm trying to look into that question. Let me hand it over to both of you. HOD.
Thank you so much. Good morning to our own MEC, our stakeholders here present, and also the members of the media. Now, the first question on the issue of the continuity of the camps in our schools. This really indicates that mobilizing or organizing learners in one spot in a hostel arrangement is the route to go by if we want results. And these camps are in an environment where we don't have enough hostels. Not all schools have hostels. That is the issue. And therefore, these camps resemble an hostel arrangement that has been proven to be the best way of producing results. Now, to the department, these camps are very expensive because we have to provide food to those learners. We go extra mile by having those camps. However, we do it because it is the way that we have deemed it necessary to be done for us to produce results. Therefore, maybe continuing these camps for a year would not be very, very possible for the department because of the budget constraints. However, these camps also focus, to learners who have challenges in the academic performance. Now, in other words, we conduct these plans in a differentiated approach, which means that sometimes we go with those learners that have not performed in the controlled assessment tests. Say in the first quarter we have this performance. Therefore, we take that group of learners and jack it up. So we are using the little budget that we have as the department to make the best. So, but maybe you are very, very spot on with your comment. Maybe what we can do as the department is to really mobilize even other business partners to really assist us, because the budget for education cannot be enough for all our priorities. And you see, which means therefore that education is a societal issue, which means that our societies and the business community and other stakeholders must join hands to really advance those things that are done better and good by the department, those that which yield good results. So that is my response on this question, which means as the department we can only go thus far and not more with the budget that is allocated to us. Now, secondly, on the issue of infrastructure, I can see that you have done your research. You see, again here, the issue of budget availability and strict prioritization becomes an issue. We have in the department what is called B5. B5 is the plan of the department to say that in this financial year we shall build these schools. I'm responding generally because I will not know exactly about the nitty-gritties of those particular schools. However, we can check them thereafter and perhaps feed you back with the specifics about the schools we have lifted. But generally, as the department, our B5 indicates the projects or schools to be built in a particular financial year. Again, here the need is too big than the budget appropriated to us. Because I don't even want to say that the issue of the current government inheriting all the schools that have not been built is huge. Remember, if you go out, there are many schools that have been built properly. They are good, but there are those still need to be built. So, which means this is an ongoing journey for us in the department. However, we are in a journey of ensuring that gradually we do all those that we can do. For an example, when you look at the special schools, another category that is very, very vulnerable, we are saying as the department, under the guidance of the MEC is saying those special schools, they must become a priority because they are housing learners with special needs. And those learners are more needed than the learners from ordinary public schools. Now, which means that he is instructing that per year we must ensure that we build a special school and progressively like that. Because when you look at these special schools, they are really dire. Even those that have been built, they still to be attended to on a number of other reforms to fit those learners. Now, which means the issue of infrastructure generally, we are on it at the department. However, budget is a limiting factor. Again, here we can only go thus far and not more, being regulated or constrained by budget availability. Even on this matter, the MEC has business partners who also assist us in the infrastructure. I can mention one school in Bizana called OR Tambo Technical School. That school has been built by the able leadership of the MEC, where the business partners have literally built that school. And as the department, we have only given a very small percentage to that school. So which means in the entire education system, the issue of business, of mobilizing business partnership becomes a big deal. Mobilizing resources so that we can really go an extra mile than what we have, in the past of the department. Now, the third one on the data, I will give it to Ray. I pay you, Ray, because we e-learning. Ray. Upon my phone, let's go.
Just a minute, colleagues.
Thank you, Doc. Probably just to start with appreciation of the questions that were raised. I was so impressed with the matter that you raised, social context of our learners. We have been beaten left, right, and center because of the model. And the question has always been that these kids have teachers, why do we give more support? And the context is always we, the middle class, we take money out of our pockets. We buy extra lessons for our children. We do everything that is expensive. Now you look at the poor of the poorest, they cannot do anything. When we started with the model, because it was only Free State that was practicing it, and our question was, what's sort of the rationale? And they said, hey, look, colleagues, it does look like the social structure has changed. The family units are no longer the same. So we have to borrow family time from home and make this time much more available to kids. As what Doc is saying, it's not a child's play. It's a very expensive model because on top of that, MSc has to declare a PPN for X number of teachers that must teach, but also they can go up to so far. But if we want to buy extra time from teachers, we have to pay them as well. But also, you extend the very same nutrition, beyond school hours to these camps, and you begin to really feel that you have to be a department of a special type, a department that plays a social responsibility as well. So that's why also we emphasize to our teachers and principals that you sometimes need a different leadership where social conditions dictate. So this is where we are. Now, out of the strategies that we've outlined, we're trying to mitigate the impact in as much as we can because it's not out of children's making. We know that it's very expensive also to broadcast and get children online. So the government must pay. So this is where we are trying to. Now, for all the toll-free lines that we create, they are not going to pay. They are just going to get access to. Then for broadcast, we're trying to manage two dimensions, offline and online. So for the offline material, then we send straight to schools. We have arranged for availability of USBs that can take the information straight into children's gadgets. We're trying to work with the media that is closer to them, which is the WhatsApp messages and all of that. So we're trying to reach as many as possible. But where it's always important is how do we make sure that connectivity in schools is a matter. OMSC is making a point that some of these things are interdepartmental, just connectivity. The infrastructure is not our responsibility, it lies somewhere else. But when you want to introduce e-learning, you cannot say, I am not responsible. So you have to work, with others. So this is the complexity of it, as you will understand that it's complex, it's not as easy as one would like to think, that we're dealing with a developing state, context of a declining economy, so we have all of these challenges. But so far, can I say this, your quintile 1, 2, 3 schools are our major priority because that's where our numbers are, and these are the poor of the poorest. And we're trying by all means to mitigate the impact of poverty. We're trying to mitigate the impact of poverty, and we're trying to get into the stage where we are sure, that the majority of these kids get our message. That's why we are into digital platforms, we're into print media, we're into all these formats of media. Then coming to Bola's question, we have been part and parcel of the social cluster system in the province, where SAPS and state intelligence have been giving us indicators of where major disruptions are in terms of community disruptions. As you know, that every day we're faced with service delivery problems. Now, what they do in our planning and meetings with them, Dr. Luke attends on our behalf those platforms. This is where they discuss on possibilities and what we can do to mitigate even before they start. Some of them, they are unplanned, they just disrupt, but we would have had indicators from the intelligence information that things are moving towards a disruption. So therefore, we're able to, Mr. Mamona, for example, during MSC's presentation, has arranged security points for the collection of papers. Even if it's the tax industry, they try to do whatever they do, we know we have safe places where we can keep papers. What we could do, we could then deal with issues on impact at the time that kids were supposed to write, and how we could then manage that so that children are not prejudiced in any way. So we have that state apparatus and that state capacity to deal with those issues. I should think it then covers a lot.
Thank you. Any second round, colleagues? Are we all fine?
Let's go.
All right. Let us thank you, Honorable MEC, HOT, and TDG for your time. I think now we will deal with the... colleagues that would love to have one-on-one interviews will remain here, and others will have to come now. Thank you so much.
Same thing.